I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Oh, it says it's recording on my end now, but I don't have any video on mine.
Okay, good. No, I got it to record on mine, I think. So it's
Okay,
probably just
cool.
telling you that it's recording in general.
Solid.
Good. Then I'm glad I made it work. Awesome. Hopefully other people join us today. Don't mind me as I take my supplements. How did the detox go? Did you start it yet?
I started it on, I think I started on Tuesday because I picked it up on Monday. So I'm like a little bit behind as far as like getting it started goes, but it's going well. It's fine.
Good.
I feel full, which is nice.
Good. Even without needing to like eat additional in terms of the shakes or
I usually have one for breakfast, one for dinner, and then I will have a salad for lunch and like a piece of salmon. And then I eat fruits and nuts just based on what it says it needs to do. So yeah, it's good.
love it. Um, well, hopefully somebody else jumps on, but if not, this is Dan Jones. I don't think you've met him yet. He
Hi,
is
Lindsay.
Hi, Dan.
he's a strength coach over at OPEC, so he is the expert in fitness, not me. So I wanted him to be the one on the call with us today, so that we can kind of talk about exercise, habit formation, and kind of next steps if you are exercising. Because I know you're definitely way more active. You do a lot, so it'll be nice to have him here as kind of like next steps for that. But then there are also some people that will probably watch this recording who are less active, haven't started a new routine yet, and he'll kind of teach us how to get that going. But
Sure.
we'll give him 1 minute here. Lindsay, maybe you want to tell Dan what kinds of things you do right now for exercise so that as we talk about it, he has an idea of your level.
Sure. So I've always been like, even since I was young, I've always been in shape and I've been fit. But I've never guilty. I've never actually like set myself an exercise or like any sort of working out routine, but I did start, I run with my dog and I try and do that like 5 nights a week, as long as I'm not working. And then we do like anytime, just depending on how hot it is, honestly. And if he wants to or not, all we do is like walk or run, a couple miles every day. That's it right now. Honestly, that's it.
That's awesome.
Okay.
And
I
that's
walk
still a lot.
at work. So I'm not like it counts, but yeah, I'm looking forward to getting into other things for sure.
Awesome.
Very cool. What other things have you done in the past, if anything?
All I was are like active in sports. So
Okay.
that's really what it comes down to. Any sort of activity would be like physical activity as pertains to winning a game or any sort of like competition and whatnot. Even when I was, I'm in my 30s, but in my 20s, I would do like volleyball and softball and everything along those lines.
And how high of level did you play sports? Did you play college, play high school? Was it organized,
I started
non-organized?
to play college. I actually danced in college.
Okay.
But then that was only for like 6 months. So but that's about it. But after that, I continued just with like recreational sports with my friends.
Okay. In high school, then, did you have any experience in the weight room with organized sports? Like, did you guys have team training days in the weight room?
Nope, we were not that cool. we really did. We did stretching and running. That's about it, because it really did. It pertained to volleyball, so I would do that. We didn't do much like weight training as far as that goes.
Okay.
It was just more like conditioning for what we needed to do, and then it was dance as well. Those are my two mains. So
Okay, so it sounds like when it comes to actual weight training, you have very little experience actually in the weight room then.
that is correct.
Very cool. Very cool. That's actually a lot of fun. So I know you said a little bit about you're looking forward to getting into new things. What kind of things out there have piqued your interest?
This is it. Really, literally goes back. I was just talking to my friends about this, but something that would allow my body to, obviously like become toned without gaining too much muscle. And I really think that something along the lines of like dance. I think I've tried yoga. I think yoga is very like slow for me. So weight training is something that's totally foreign. I wouldn't be opposed to it though. I just need to
Okay.
know how to do it. I would have no idea.
Yeah, and that's where people like me come in. That's our job. A big thing to start with any kind of weightlifting is, I know you said right now you run at night with your dog. Is that
Mhm.
kind of when you have the most free time?
Well, I mean, I can work anywhere from 10 in the morning until 11 at night. So
Oh,
I
wow.
try and get there. I know I try to get there around like right before the sun sets. So yeah, night usually ends up working best. I'd like to get in the mornings or at least have time, but with my schedule, because it's so hot outside right now, it is pretty limited to outside activity at least.
Yeah.
But I have a gym at my apartment complex, and it's super nice, and it's like completely set up for success. I just don't use it.
Very cool. Yeah. So with a lot of my clients who kind of have the same thing where they talk about how crazy work schedules and don't really know when to go, I always try and recommend getting your workouts in the morning. Because that's generally for most people when they have the most control over their day. So I know you said you kind of can work anywhere from 10 a.m. to about 11 p.m. Whether it's getting up at 8 and walking over to your apartment gym at 8:20 and getting a weight training session in for 45 minutes, and then showering, going off to work. Obviously, I don't know where your commute is. If it's like a 3-hour commute, that wouldn't work. But if it's not, then something easy like that. And when it comes to movements in there, there's essentially 5, 6 essential movement patterns we look for. And that's just a bending motion, so an RDL, a deadlift, a squatting motion, pushing with the upper body, pulling with the upper body, single leg, and then core work as well. If you can hit all 6 of those movements within a 45-minute session, generally you're going to set yourself up for success. Early on in your weight training, you're going to see, just because it sounds like your what we call a training age is relatively low, early on you're going to see lots of success very, very quickly. We call those beginner gains or newbie gains, just because it's basically equated to you haven't been weight training and now you are weight training. So now it's like, oh, okay, see results really quick, and all of a sudden your body's going to adapt. I always say that's why you remember the shake weight back in the day?
Yeah.
I always say that's why that was able to kind of sell itself, because it took people who weren't doing anything and then made them do something for 30 minutes twice a day and they lost weight. It's like, well, yeah, they weren't doing anything. Now you're making them do something. So when you go from not doing something to doing something, you're going to see progress very, very quickly. And then kind of when those people start to see less progress and kind of get lost, that's where people like me come in, where we set up an exact plan tailored specifically to you and your goals and what you want to achieve. Just like Dr. Noronha is your naturopathic physician. That is her job. That is what her profession is. Just like me, I'm a strength coach. Our job is to write workouts and make sure people are performing them safely. What is your biggest, what you feel your biggest limiter or your biggest hesitation is to getting into weight training?
I don't really have one. I think it's just before I started all of this, I had energy and everything like that, but I think I was just directing it in the wrong place. And so now I have the motivation, and I literally feel like my body is ready to just be better. So I don't necessarily think I have one as of right now.
All right. Very cool. So that means tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., you're going to be in that weight room?
Probably.
That's what I like to hear.
I actually believe
I'm just going to go with probably.
So I want to back up here for a second, though, because there will be some people watching the recap who maybe have a lower level of motivation. Right? So Lindsay's a self-starter. She does what she says. She's amazing. But sometimes if you think back to that habit formation, actually I can pull that up and share the screen again. But if we remember from the Willpower Manual that for the people with lower motivation, they need a higher trigger and they need more ability. So I'll show you what I mean by that as soon as this opens up. Because right now, Lindsay has the motivation, she has the ability, and so the trigger that she would need could be as small as her phone alerting her on her lock screen, time to go to the gym. Right? Like that might work for you, Lindsay, versus someone like me who has very little motivation to go to the gym. An alert on my phone or a slot in my calendar that says gym does nothing for me. I just ignore it, right? It might as well say something else because I don't do it, right? So let me.
Are you spelling gym right?
What was that?
Are you spelling gym right? Like, Jim, who's that?
Oh, Jim, yeah, different Jim. So let me share my screen here. All right, so you can see all of my junk right now. All right, so this is the thing that I'm referring to here. So behavior of going to the gym is equal to the motivation times ability times trigger. So Lindsay's like, my body feels ready, I'm good to go. So she's highly motivated, right? She has the ability, meaning she has a gym in her complex or in her where she lives, right? So high ability, which means, ta-da, she has target behavior, right? It doesn't even matter at that point if her trigger is an alarm on her phone or, someone dragging her over there, at 6 a.m. She's going to hit that target behavior with a small little trigger versus someone, let's say me, because I'm the opposite, low motivation to go to the gym. I have high ability, right? I have a gym membership, but you can see I'm not hitting target behavior because this is not what needs to happen. In order for someone like me with low motivation and high ability to actually make it to the gym, we need that trigger, right? So that trigger has to be a stronger trigger for us. And this is someone that really needs to work with Dan, right? Where the trigger is the coach, right? Same as people that work with me who, are looking to change their lifestyles. I'm the trigger for them. I'm the coach. I'm the guide. But when it comes to fitness, I can teach you the behaviors. I can teach you the habits. I can't really teach you how to work out or pull you into the gym, right? So a trigger would be knowing that a friend is going with you or Dan is waiting for you to show up, something like that where there's more accountability. So for those watching this call and they're in the same boat where they have no motivation to go, or maybe they're slightly motivated, right? But they still need a higher trigger and maybe they don't have the ability. So if you don't have a gym membership, go get one. Or talk to Dan about being a member at OPEX and having that strength coaching built in, or do something like I do where the ability might not be the gym, but maybe it's putting a yoga mat that just stays on the floor in your living room so that like that is there and that's the first thing that you do in the morning, right? So going back to that habit formation of finding the time. So Dan just talked about, all right, 8 a.m. if you're going to go before work, because I agree that is the best time to do a workout. You're most motivated, you have control of your day. So right after you brush your teeth, right, remembering that right after you brush your teeth, maybe you do yoga for 10 minutes, right? And then start building on that. And then it's 10 minutes of yoga plus 10 minutes of, some YouTube video on, abs and core and glutes. And then once you have that routine down and now you have higher motivation because you're seeing changes, right? Those newbie gains that Dan just mentioned. Now you can maybe change your ability into actual gym membership. And now maybe you add in the trigger of having a coach, or maybe by that point, your motivation is so good because you're seeing the results and you've gotten that habit down that now you get into the gym. So if you follow my Instagram, you know that that's what I've been working on is getting to the gym consistently in the morning. But right now I'm doing great with my morning yoga and my walks, getting 30 minutes to an hour in just with those two things. So it doesn't have to be the gym, but for people like where they have that higher motivation already, then gym is great. So I will stop sharing my screen, but just want to throw that in there. So Lindsay, even with high motivation, you can always think about, maybe using some habit formation to really make that stick.
Sure.
How many times a week would you say that someone starts in the gym, Dan? And would you say that they do, whole body every single day that they go? Or would you say do more like upper body one day, lower body the next day? I know that we like those 5 or 6 movements, but is there like a right or wrong way?
You're gonna love my answer right now, and that is it depends. It always depends on who that person is, what does their schedule allow, and what their goals are. And then we can get as deep as how old, like what is their biological age, what is their training age, and then in this performance world, what is their sporting age. So someone with a low training age, and we'll say, just for the sake of this call, mid-20s, mid to mid-30s, low training age, they can start 2-3 times a week, whatever. I would say aim for something you can hit right away. And what we kind of talk with our clients here is you got to earn the right to do things. So we'll have people come in, they're always super motivated when they start here, and they're like, yeah, I want to work out 6 days a week. And we're like, great, let's start with 2. Show me you can do 2 days a week for 3 months. You don't miss a day in 3 months? Great, let's do 3 days a week. You don't miss a day in 3. You don't miss a day for another 3 months? Great, let's go to 4. And it's just one of those things where people, I always call it the puppy dog mentality, super eager to start right away. They want to accomplish everything. They want to take on the world. They miss one day and they feel like they've lost it all and are completely failed and just drop out. So it's starting small and just building on those small wins every single day. I talk a little bit about with my clients here, the telescope goal and the microscope goal. So the telescope goal is that goal that's way off in the distance. Your wedding 8 months from now that you want to lose 10 pounds for. And microscope goals are the little goals you need to accomplish every day to achieve that telescope goal. So drinking 3/4 of your body weight or half your body weight in ounces of water a day, eating 2 servings of vegetables with every single meal, getting up and moving for an hour every day. What to do inside the gym, like you mentioned, YouTube is a great resource. There's plenty of what we call template programs out there that I would say are great for beginners. And once those kind of stop working, that's when you kind of look for coaches, look for personal trainers and people who are more educated in the field and know exactly where to take you and what your goals are. And a little bit of what you were talking about before with the motivation, there's always those 2 types, intrinsic and extrinsic. Our goal is always to have that intrinsic motivation. Or if there is extrinsic motivation, have it be something very close to you that it's extrinsic, not the lose 20 pounds because I want to look good. I have one client, I love his mentality. He's 39 years old. He's a COO of a tech startup out here, and he is a former Marine, former football player. And his reason for wanting to stay healthy and fit are the 2 little girls he has that control his entire life. His goal is he is fighting atrophy, and he wants to be able to be dancing with them at their weddings in 20 years.
Yeah, so essentially find your why, right? Like
yeah.
It's not just about the weight. And I know we've talked about this too, of my why is I want to be healthy for my entire life and I want to live to be 102, right? That doesn't mean I have to have huge muscles to do that.
Yeah.
Just there has to be some kind of movement. Before you keep going with that, there were a couple things that you said that I want to touch on.
Yeah.
One of them, you kind of mentioned like you miss one day and so now you throw it all out the window, right? That's super important, right? And I'm super guilty of this, which is how I know this is a thing. The all or nothing mindset, right? So it's kind of what you just alluded to, but just stop and talk about it for a second of just because you missed that one workout doesn't mean that like you're going to miss for the day. Or something that I know my brain does is, I was planning on getting to the gym for that hour workout. And now that I'm running a little bit late and I'm only going to have 45 minutes, I might as well not go, right? It's like, well, no, go, right? Keep that habit of going. Or do something else. An example being Monday, and it's always on Monday I will do this. But on Monday I was like, I'm going to get to the gym. I woke up super early. I was like, I'm going to go to the gym. Then other things happened and I got really into like my morning routine and I decided, oh man, it's already, 6:05. I was supposed to be there at 6. So instead of taking that all or nothing mindset, being aware of it, I was able to say, okay, even though I couldn't make it to the gym, I'm going to do something. Right. So that's when I put my yoga mat back on the floor. I did my 10 minutes that day of yoga. And then it spiraled into this new routine that I've stuck to all week of going for a walk, doing my yoga, then doing my little meditation. So I had my walk down, I had the meditation, I had to add in there the yoga, right? And now that I added that in and felt how good that felt, I'm now highly motivated to do that every morning, right? But again, just don't let the all or nothing mindset get you. If you can't go, still do something. Again, YouTube, use some bands in your house, right? I was telling Dan this the other day, I keep bands in my drawer now in my office so that, if we're talking about fitness with a practice member, we can pull it out and we can do it together in the office as well. So even little things go a long way. So just being mindful of that all or nothing mindset. Or for example, this morning I chose to do a castor oil pack instead of my yoga. But again, because that all or nothing mindset doesn't mean I'm going to let that just go out the window today. I do want to do even 10 minutes of yoga later, just because it's so gratifying to see that you're sticking to a habit. So the more you stick to it, the more it becomes an actual habit. Do you want to say something about that? And then there was another thing that I was going to mention.
And it's kind of one thing they've done plenty of studies on. Us as humans love checklists. We love to actually be able to check something off because it gives us that dopamine release that, yes, I just did something. And I always like to, when I make them, I always like to put my first one as make a checklist so I can check it off right away. But then another thing you mentioned too about when things happen in this crazy world, whether you're a business owner, high level business, athlete, like stuff happens. And with my clients, we talk about if this, then that plans, or if this, then this. So say you're like diet, you're at work and all of a sudden all the coworkers want to go out to eat and you get dragged along. All right, I'm at this restaurant. This is what I will get as a side instead of this. Or, okay, I got called into work early and I couldn't go work out. All right, I will do this for 20 minutes on my lunch break. Or like you mentioned before, the 7-minute workout app. Like, okay, at lunch, I'll do a 7-minute workout through this app, and I still got a workout in. So just because you can't get into something doesn't mean you throw it all away. Just because you have one little bite of ice cream doesn't mean you throw it all away and eat the pint, unless you're me. Yeah. So just being aware that things are going to happen, and just because something happens, you don't throw the rest of it out the window.
So I'm going to call him out for that quickly here, just
Love ice cream.
In case there's someone else watching this who just heard Danny say, if you eat a pint of ice cream, or if you eat a bite of ice cream, don't eat the pint unless you're me.
Yeah.
So there's a reason he can do that. So for those practice members watching, do not go do that. One, he can do that because he works out 2 hours a day and his body requires 4,000 calories a day. For those of you who are not currently lifting for 2 hours a day, your energy requirements, your basal metabolic rate, which I'll have you talk about in a second, of your calories that you need to survive per day is way less than 4,000 calories, right? Let's say for a female, it's probably going to be around maybe 1,600 calories a day, 1,500 calories a day is what we would need, versus maybe a standard male not working out. And correct me if I'm wrong here, Dan, but maybe let's say 2,500 calories a day, 3,000 calories a day. But eating the diet that I have you guys on, really hard to get 4,000 calories a day. So not that eating a pint of ice cream is acceptable, but we'll let Dan get away with it because he can.
Yeah, and so that kind of leads into the performance versus health world. So any kind of study you look at in the fitness industry, and a lot of times in the nutrition industry, specifically with exercise, the people they work with are professional athletes. There's actually never been a study of long-term development in health and fitness with general population, which is something we're trying to figure out how to do here at OPEX. But so when it comes to athletes, the reason they eat 10,000 calories a day, the reason Michael Phelps, when he was training for the Olympics at his height, could eat McDonald's twice a day was like you mentioned, the calorie amount he needs. And his goal isn't like longevity. It isn't health. His goal was to win 7 gold medals at the next Olympics. He didn't care if he died a year afterwards. That was his goal. So when you look at health and professional athletes, generally athletes are borderline unhealthy. A lot of and I'll use CrossFit as an example because the games were just a few months ago and I have a lot of experience with them. Those CrossFit athletes, a lot of them, we've seen their blood work at that time of the year, are borderline diabetic with the amount of training they do. So yes, that pint of ice cream I ate, there was a reason for it. The amount of calories I needed, the amount of carbs I need, and the simple carbs that I need, especially with right now what I'm doing with my own training, going through what we call a testing cycle. So doing a bunch of different tests to see where energy systems are at, where strength is at, where endurance is at. So that's just much deeper down the rabbit hole, conversations we have with our clients and our athletes of making sure they're aligned with what their goals, and if their goal is longevity and health, but then they also want to go to the CrossFit Games, just having that conversation. Well, those two are two different chickens that you're trying to catch at the same time. It's never going to happen.
So that's why I like OPEX, and this kind of leads into the other thing that I wanted to point out of what you said was I really like OPEX because it's very individualized, right? So let's say Lindsay, who is now eating a really beautiful diet and, super on track with her health, feeling motivated, she could go to you and learn to start to weight train, become independent, enjoy exercising, and have you looking at her from the approach of, newer athlete to this world. You can look at her calorie needs, her macro needs, as well as, based on your lifestyle and your stress levels, you should probably work out at this time of day versus that time of day. And then you can also look at someone who is a CrossFitter and doesn't really care about health and is more so wanting to just win. You can look at that, type of client as well from a different type of perspective and create completely different workouts and like that. And so this kind of led me to wanting to chat for a second and talk about, as a generalization, of course, there are terrible naturopathic doctors, there are great naturopathic doctors, terrible mechanics, great mechanics. There's a spectrum in every profession. So not saying this to put trainers down, because I know some great personal trainers, but there is a difference in training of a strength coach and a personal trainer, as well as a difference in the way that different business models work. So if you can kind of explain from your experience the difference between a personal trainer and a strength coach, so that when people are deciding what they want to do and who they want to work with, they know what they should pick. And then I'll kind of share my experience too.
Yeah, and I'll preface this by saying I've been a personal trainer. I've taught group classes in the CrossFit gym. I've worked as a physical therapy technician in the rehab environment, and now I'm a strength coach at OPEC. So you name something in this industry, I've probably done it. This is not to knock personal trainers. I know great ones as well. Here at OPEX, we equate personal training to overpriced babysitting. Because what with the vast majority of them that give a lot of the great ones bad names do is they use the same workout for everyone. I always tell people, go to any LA Fitness, go to Lifetime, and you'll see this all the time. They will just sit there and count your reps and sit on their phone and just kind of collect that $120 for that hour that you just paid them. The national average for price per personal trainer is $100 an hour. And if you really want to see results, you're generally using them 3 times a week. So now that's about $1,200 a month. $1,200 a month that you're paying for someone to sit on their phone and just give you a workout that they've given 6 other clients that day. Here at OPEX, we're very big on what we call coaching. We call ourselves professional coaches in the highest level in this industry for a reason. When you come to us, you're going to get assigned a coach. That coach is going to take you through 3 hours worth of assessments and really get to know you, get to know what your goals are, get to know why you want to accomplish what you want to accomplish, get to know what your lifestyle is, get to know what your eating is like, and then actually take you full on movement assessment to see how you move. That way we can write the best program for you based off what we see in the assessment and imbalances we may need to fix and things, and then have it aligned with your goals. When you work with us, it looks more like a semi-private setting. So you'll come in, there's always going to be at least one coach walking around on the floor, making sure everyone's moving well, checking in with everyone. It just may not be your coach specifically. But then once a month, you will sit down with your coach one-on-one to kind of talk about what's going on inside the gym, what's going on outside the gym. Because I always tell people, if you work out 2 hours a day, 6 days a week, 95% of your time is still spent outside that gym. If we're not taking care of what we need to take care of out there, I don't care what you do inside the gym, you're not going to see the results you want to see. So those are the biggest differences when it comes to what OPEX is, which we kind of call it now the future of personal training, and what traditional personal training is.
I forgot I muted myself. So I kind of agree. I see OPEX as like you kind of said, functional fitness, right? Where I'm functional medicine, they're functional fitness, where again, they're looking at the whole person, not just what are we doing for the workout for everybody today. So I really do appreciate that. And a really nice benefit there is they send you your workout ahead of time in the morning. So every morning that you're supposed to go work out, you have your workout ready for you in your inbox, right, in your email. And there's a nice app. You can track what you've been doing so you can be your own coach as you get better and be able to look back and see, oh, last time I did a deadlift, I lifted, let's say 175 pounds. This time I'm going to try 185. So you can see how you're progressing and track your numbers, and they can see those numbers too and track and be able in your monthly consults to say, here's what you're going to do now. Here's how we improve on this. Or I know what you guys have made me do a couple times too is record a workout and then show you the workout so that you can kind of critique and change movement. So, some personal trainers, again, phenomenal, but I've watched personal trainers in other gyms just give every single person the same workout. Just like Dan said, they're playing on their phone. They're not really engaged. They're not watching, and they're not teaching you to be your own coach eventually, right? Of course, there's always going to be that maintenance. You always want to have a coach, but as you evolve and your training age, goes up, you should be able to also, like Lindsay, you kind of said this in the beginning, you should also be able to put together your own program.
Yeah. And I always tell people my goal with all my clients is for them to be able to know how to program for themselves. That way, when they do go on vacation and they ask me to write a couple of workouts and then also they don't have time for that workout, or they didn't have something they thought they would have access to, they know how to modify things on their own. We always say people come to OPEX looking for a coach, and then they stay for the relationships they build with their coach and the community here. Just like life goals change all the time, goals in the gym change all the time. I have another client he's about to turn 40, and he has, this is what 40 looks like goals he set for me a few months ago. And now he just bought a house, a little bit of stress at his job. And he told me how he kind of wants to step away from those a little bit, just because this is his time here. This is where he likes to have fun. This is where he likes to goof around with everyone. And if he can't get in as many days a week to accomplish this is what 40 looks like goals, it puts even more stress in his stress bucket. So we changed up his programming a little bit here and there to where he doesn't know this, but he's still going to hit those numbers he wants based off what we're doing. We just modified it a little bit. So it just is a little bit easier on his nervous system right now, and it's still fun and enjoyable. It just, again, bringing awareness to things and not having awareness on certain things. But yeah, so when he hits a PR in his bench press in 4 weeks, he's going to be ecstatic because he hit a PR and he didn't even know he was trying to get a PR right now. But yeah, so those are basically the biggest things. I think that little 10-minute thing popped up, so I don't know how much time we have left.
So we've got about 5 minutes left. So
okay.
I want to kind of take this time so things stand for that. I want to talk just basically hitting on those basics again, right? It's not an all or nothing mindset. Do what you can do with the time that you have. Don't just say, because I don't have the hour that I planned on, I'm not going to do it. Use other ways of getting to your fitness goals, right? Go back to that willpower manual and look at how you can create baby steps based on your long-term goal. Just like Dan said, if we have that telescope goal and the microscope goal, how can we get to that goal by building little steps to get us there, instead of thinking that we're going to end up in the gym 6 days a week just because we put it on our calendar? How do we work our way up there that will build a sense of success and accomplishment? So Dan also mentioned, checklists. I love checklists. They rule my life. This is my planner. So here's a blank copy day, but you can see it might be backwards for you guys, but there's a little thing right here for habit. And so you can put like yoga, or you can put walk, or 10 push-ups, and then there's a little box with an H in it, and you check it off. So every time you do it, you get to check it. And it's a daily planner, not just a weekly, but this one also has a weekly view as well as a monthly view. And in the monthly view, you also have those little H's to check off your habits, so you can see how consistent have I been. And if you're not being consistent, take a step back and see, what is it that is keeping me from being consistent with my exercise? Because if we go back to those 5 pillars, diet, exercise, hormone balancing, detoxification, and stress management, if we're skipping some kind of movement in our day or in our week, we're not going to get to the goals that we've set for ourselves. So start to build those habits. Find what is fun for you to do. I didn't know that I was going to enjoy yoga. Kind of like Lindsay said, it was too slow for me. But now that I'm doing yoga and I found someone on YouTube that I like, I'm really enjoying this habit, and I didn't think I would. So try new things. There's also, again, getting you in that habit. There's the 7-minute workout app that Dan mentioned. I love it. It's free. You put it on your phone, and it is a high-intensity interval training type workout where you do some push-ups for 30 seconds and then 10 seconds of rest, or you do 30 seconds or a minute, I forget, of planks and then 10 seconds of rest. So that gets your heart rate up. You start to actually sweat, and it's just 7 minutes. I promise you the majority of us probably spend 7 minutes going to our fridge and just staring at it, or like 7 minutes playing on Instagram. So we can all find that 7 minutes, and I feel like that's a great way to create that habit. Or as I mentioned to Dan earlier, in a private conversation, I actually keep one of these bands. It's the green one that looks like this. They're all dirty from sneakers being used in the clinic. But I keep those bands, one of them on my doorknob in the bathroom. So if I'm thinking about it and my habit formation is right after I turn on the shower, I'm going to do 10 of something with this band. So 10 squats or 10 movements with my arms with the bands, just to create, again, another habit, another movement, and that I can expand on later. So get creative with it. Have fun with it. Find what you enjoy. I do highly recommend a strength coach. As Dan mentioned, it can be $1,200 a month with a personal trainer, whereas a very qualified strength coach at OPEX who is going to look at you and your lifestyle and program directly for you is only $299 a month. Right? So that is a huge, huge value for a very minimal price. So I would definitely say check in with Dan if you're interested. Don't be scared of fitness like I was for years and years and years. There are great ways to incorporate that movement. And we can always chat about it one-on-one as well. Don't forget to check the portal for your information. That basal metabolic rate that we touched on, you're going to see information in there about that. So definitely check that out if weight loss is a goal. The biggest mistake that Dan and I both see is that people don't eat enough calories sometimes when they are trying to work out. So go check that out. That will help with weight loss. And then this week we are, I believe, taking away eggs, if I remember correctly. So if you're having a hard time with that, removing eggs, let us know. My favorite breakfast is chopped up chicken sausage with some onions and spinach if I'm not doing eggs. So try that out. We're about to get cut off here, but Dan, thank you so much for being on the call and helping us out. Lindsay, thank you for always being amazing and consistent and being here. Let me know if you make it to the gym tomorrow at 8 a.m. I bet you will.
Sounds good.
And then we'll chat soon. All right, guys.
Awesome. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you for having me.
Bye.